Welcome to the Weekly Bark, where ordinary people are talking about extraordinary things. Sit back and enjoy the ride. The Weekly Bark. Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Bark. My name is Jesse Maust, and I'm your host. And this week we have a special guest in the studio, my wife, Kara. And a couple of weeks ago when I did the friendship podcast, I really wanted her on then because of all the people that I know, she has this natural ability to make friends almost everywhere we go and to talk to people as if she had known them forever. And it's a trait about her that I've always admired, even though it drives our kids crazy sometimes because we don't get out of a store very fast. So, hey, welcome to the show, Kara. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I almost couldn't afford you, but since you're working for wine these days, it's okay.
My time's pretty expensive around here.
Thanks for sharing, though, by the way.
You're welcome.
And we're drinking J. Lore, which is a Cabernet. And
Yep.
I'm going to give a shout out to J. Lore. It's a Paso Robles wine. It is good.
I think it's Robles.
Robles? I don't know how to say it. I don't know anything about wine, to be honest. I just like this brand.
And if William said it would be Paso Roadblock.
Paso Roblox. Roblox?
Something like that.
William's our 6-year-old who's fascinated by all things Minecraft and Roblox and all that sort
Anything
of stuff.
buildable or video game-ish.
That's true, yes. To almost to a point of an addiction. Mm-hmm. He reads books on Minecraft. That cracks me up.
Yeah. I think that's another story for
Yes.
another time.
Yeah, okay, so we digress. I digress a lot.
Another podcast. What is your kid addicted to?
Right? We should do that.
Oh, boy.
We should open that up like on Facebook, though, and let a lot of people, put it in there. We should read the responses of what, their kids are addicted to.
I don't know. Maybe we really don't want to know what's in the mind of others.
Yeah, maybe we do. I don't know.
It could be dangerous.
All right, so what is it? How is it that when we go to a store or something that it's pretty natural for you to start talking to people? Well,
I don't. Okay. First of all, I have to dispel this myth that I just talk to complete strangers at any time. It is possible. I could start a conversation, but I don't think of it as like different or a superpower or anything unique. It's just me, who I am, and I think I've always been this way. I genuinely like people, so I'm interested in them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It could be someone of any age or background. I guess maybe because I'm observing and watching these people and I notice them and something speaks to me. But basically just being able to say, hey, how are you? And, something, I don't know. Something just stands out and I pick up on it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I guess there's been times where it's gotten me into trouble.
Why? Explain that. How's it gotten you into trouble?
It was more in my youth. I think I was a new driver, and I think I got my license at 17, so it was probably sometime around there, and I was kind of out shopping and running errands, doing my own thing. I went into a store. I think I went into a Marshall's in Tustin, where I grew up, and I was in the shoe aisle trying on... It's going to age me, but I was trying on some Steve Madden platform wedges. All these girls my age will know these shoes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was trying them on, and I was looking at them, admiring them. I decided I wanted them, and this man was in the same aisle as me, and he was looking at my foot, and he said, oh, wow, those are really nice. I said, right? Yeah, I like them. Because in my teenage mind, it's all about me. I'm in my head. I'm thinking, yeah, I like these. Why wouldn't everybody like these? I'm not thinking about...
Pervy old man.
Something might be wrong with this person standing next to me. So I hadn't really had a weird interaction before. And all of a sudden, this guy's interested in my footwear. And I said, yeah, they're great. I think I'm going to get them. And he goes, oh, can I see it for a second? I was like, yeah, sure. Why?
Oh, no
Here
way.
you go. I gave him the shoe.
No.
He picked it up and looked at it really closely. And then...
Oh, God.
He took a deep breath. Yeah. And that's when my jaw dropped and my eyes have never been wider. And I got the shoe back, and without a word, I put it on, never took my face away from his, just stared at him, put my stuff away, and left.
Yeah.
And told my mom about it later that day, and she's like, I told you to stop being so friendly to people.
Right. I had a weird experience like that too. As a matter of fact, it was
Somebody was sniffing your shoe.
No, not that. But it was, and it caught me totally off guard too. And so it was my senior year of high school. I had long hair back in these days, so it was like the mid '80s, right? So it was a mullet. And you wouldn't have liked it.
Oh my!
But yeah, the only time I had long hair is a friggin' mullet, and it was disgusting. But I think I've burned all pictures of that too. By the way, I think there might be one in a yearbook somewhere. But
we're gonna have to
so anyway, it was heavy metal. We were all and I went to the mall and I was sitting. You remember in those days they had the chairs in the middle of the stores, down the aisle of the mall, and you could smoke cigarettes there. And so I was in there smoking a cigarette. And this dude comes up to me and starts asking me questions, and I assumed he was just security screwing with me, right? Because that had happened before too. And so he starts going, "So do you come here a lot?" And I go, every now and again. And he goes, "Well, what are you doing?" I go, "I was just shopping for this, that, or the other thing." And my spider senses are kind of tingling. Yeah. And he's all, "Well, how long are you gonna stay here?" And I'm still thinking he's security or something. I go, "Well, I'm just waiting for my bus." And that was a mistake because now I divulged how I'm getting home. And he goes, "Well, when can I see you again?" And then I knew, okay, this is not the interaction that I was thinking of. This is a creepy guy and he had to be close to 50, if not in his 50s. Yeah. And so I'm a 17.
And no uniform?
No, none. He's just playing.
Yeah.
So he'd ask me those questions. I'm like, "No, gotta go." And so then I kind of get up and bolt, and he's kind of following me around the mall. And so I kind of duck into stores, and he's kind of hovering, and I duck out. And I ended up thinking I ditched him and got out towards where the bus stop was because it was about time. And the guy pulls up as I'm at the bus stop and goes, "You want to ride?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And the bus came, and so I got on the bus, and I'm watching, and he's following the bus.
Oh my God, he's stalking you.
Horrible stalker. And then so I ended up getting off at not my stop, nowhere near my house.
Smart.
And then I jumped off the bus and I ran into a neighborhood and I jumped somebody's fence and I hopped a couple of fences and came out on another street of houses and then worked my way through the neighborhood, back, circled around to the bus stop. And by that point, I'd lost him and got back on the bus and took the rest of the way home.
That is scary.
Yeah, it's freaky. That was the first time I had ever kind of realized that, there's people in this world that may not have your best intentions, and that are predatory like that.
Right.
But yeah, but again, my initial response was I gave the guy the benefit of the doubt. He's probably security or maybe he's just friendly or whatever. And then it was creepy fast.
Young mind also thought, am I going to get in trouble for doing something?
Right. But that's not the majority of your interactions. The bulk of your interactions are always positive. I mean, I've seen you. I've personally watched you at a Stater Brothers checkout line end up having a play date with another mom, and then you guys go to the park and the kids are playing.
I think that just being able to kind of relate to people on any level, being able to, I don't know. If you're talking, obviously having children makes it really easy to meet people, to easily start conversations, how old is he, what grade, that kind of thing. Or, having those things in common makes it really easy to start a conversation, and that kind of just flows. And I think you have to be able to read people too. You have to know, you have to read their body language. Are they standoffish? Are their arms closed across their chest? Do they not want to talk? Are they not opening up on purpose? Are they more guarded? Because you have no idea what someone's situation is, right? When you first meet them for the first time. But I mean, there's been times when we've been, say, at the park and William's playing with these other kids, and all of a sudden the mom and I start talking, and it's like, wow, I feel like I've known you forever, it's like I don't know, is it like a first date where it's like bam, 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 they're meeting all this criteria left and right, and it's making sense. You're hitting it off, right? And so at that point, I guess you decide if you would be willing to see that person again. I'm not saying invite them to your house, but if you're willing to meet up again, then maybe
have a play date or something.
Yeah, have a play date and you've already been in that situation there, so you're willing to go there again.
It's a funny world because we teach everybody, like all our kids are about stranger danger. And I know with my oldest daughter, Rochelle, we had her so paranoid of people and stranger danger. And because of those stories, like we just kind of related a minute ago, and even though of all the interactions I've ever had with people, that was like probably the only really creepy one that I've ever really had in my
We
life.
started off with the worst
Right,
one.
right. But so realistically, that's just not the norm, right? The norm is most people are decent human beings, and most of them are just kind of going through life on their own terms and trying to not. But I think for me, like my go-to is I don't talk to people like in general. It'd be like, hey, what's up? Good, like the passing sort of things, but to like sit in a line at the store, like even today when I was at Aldi getting the wine, there was a family in front of me, and they had a little kid in the cart, and we were playing peekaboo behind Dad, who was standing there, and Dad and I made eye contact and kind of smiled at each other, but no hellos, no nothing, and it's just not my go-to to, hey, how you doing? My name's Jesse. What's yours? It's just not my go-to. Whereas you seem a little opposite of that. Like you would play with the kid and then say, "Hey, how you doing today?" and extend that to the adult. And I wonder if do you get away with that? Do you think maybe because you're female and I'm male, and maybe it's creepier if a guy does it?
Probably, yeah. I think it's a little bit more expected out of a female because they're possibly a mother, or if you have your own child with you, But I think, for the most part, yeah, I would be a little bit more leery of a male in line trying to chat me up.
Right. Yeah, that'd be weird. Or conversely, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how about your kids? Would you be okay with the children talking to people like you talk to people?
Yeah, I would. I've actually encouraged our older daughters to be a little bit more friendly, not to stand there with the huffy looking face, even if they want to get going, because they never seem to want to be where we are, for very long. But it's about the stance, and if somebody's smiling at you, it's okay to smile back. I think maybe we did go a little bit too far on the stranger danger thing, or obviously, I mean, these kids are on TikTok and social media, all different things that they see, things that happen left and right where we live. Just in the state of California, there's crimes that happen a lot. They're aware of it. They're teenagers. They're old enough to see their own news. But I try to get it across to the kids that smiling at somebody or saying hello to somebody is not a commitment.
Right.
It's not a form of forever.
Right.
Just to say hi to somebody, just to smile, like you never know if that's going to change someone's day. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but...
Actually, I totally agree with that. I've actually forced myself because I have a tendency to not be... I'm not trying to have like an RBF. Is that what the kids are calling it nowadays?
The resting bitch face.
So like I try not to have the resting bitch face, but that's natural. Like if you don't know me, you'd think like a lot of people go, I thought you were mad. I'm like,
right.
I'm not mad. That's just the way I look, man.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking.
Music equipment.
Or maybe I got gas. I was trying not to fart.
Oh my God. Oh, geez.
So I've gone out of my way lately in crowds around people to smile more and to force myself to smile. And because that's not my go-to, but to do that. And man, the reception has been really positive.
It's not natural to you, but by making that a focus point, you're noticing a difference.
Oh, a huge difference about people's demeanors. They'll change, then they'll smile.
Soften.
Yeah.
It softens people, especially today with all the craziness happening around us.
Right.
All you hear is negative stuff left and right, if you're looking at your feed. But if you actually go out in person, which is 100% necessary, by the way, to make a friend or to talk to somebody, you need to go out and actually see people in their environment.
That's an interesting thing you bring up because I don't know. How do I say this? I think that things are changing a little bit. I think people have really valid friendships that are completely digital. where they may never see each other, and it may be either in a virtual space like Second Life, and as the metaverse kind of does its thing. I think people will have really meaningful relationships in those kind of digital realms that for them now is going to be really powerful. It's not me. That's not my go-to place. I like the person-to-person thing. But it is changing, right? And I think that's going to be an interesting road that our kids are going to have to navigate, because it's not going away. It's only going to be more and more involved in their life. And then the question is going to be is how much of those digital or online relationships, and then really how much of those are really going to replace real person and real world relationships. And then secondly is what's the psychological ramifications of that, because that's waters I don't think we've ever gone down. And so people are going to have to kind of figure that out. Are we going to be able to exist in there, or is that really going to cause a lot more problems later on than not? And I don't know that we know where that's going to be yet.
Interesting. I am very hesitant about that whole world.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about that already. I don't think it's a positive place to go, because in my eyes, it's not real.
Right.
I'm looking at it like that game from the 90s, The Sims. You know, like you're made a character, an avatar, and you're living this world, and you're making your character do things and interact with other people in this other world. But here you are still sitting at your desk, shoveling pizza down your throat as you're clicking on a keyboard, and you're having this other life. I mean, maybe you're getting a text from somebody and you're responding as you're still being this character. I don't think you can be fully functional in what would you call it, a cyber world?
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that what you, okay.
Digital.
So I think, to be able to feed your body and your mind, you would need to be in what I would call real world, where you go outside, see sun, your physical eyes are reacting, your pupils are dilating,
Sure.
your skin is getting air and sun touching you to be able to function normally and
Oh no, I'm not advocating that the health benefits of being in the real world are not real, and that we could lock ourselves in a dark basement for the rest of our lives. That's not what I'm advocating. I'm saying that people will be able. I think there's going to be a group of people that, while they'll need to go out into the real world, and for all the reasons that you just said, to exercise, to get sunshine and vitamin D, and to process all those things. I was just listening to another podcast just recently, and they were kind of talking about that subject, about how our bodies need, sunshine. We need to be outside.
we do.
We need to get away
agree.
from the EMF, because we got Wi-Fi everywhere, and AirPods in our ears, and all these different things, and overhead power lines, and all these things that jack with our frequencies, and that by going out into nature, that we can kind of decompress from some of that. And I don't think that'll ever go away. I think humans absolutely are wired for that and need that. I'm just saying that there may come a time where people will do that kind of stuff solely and then go interact with people digitally.
But I still don't think you can have a relationship with someone, intimate relationship with someone that you can't physically see or touch. I think that
you can see them. You're just seeing the version of them that they want you to see.
I call BS on that. That's how people get catfished, right?
Well, but we catfish in real life for that same reason.
Well, it's a little harder to hide when you're right in front of somebody.
But it's only catfishing if you've been misled. If you're not misleading somebody in that virtual space, and you go, here's my avatar. This is what I choose to project myself as. That's not really catfishing, as far as I can tell. Now, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm saying for some people, I think that might be a thing. And I don't know. Again, it's a world. And this is where I kind of want to. This is a world that I'm kind of guessing at, because I don't spend any time in that digital, world. When Second Life first came out, I saw a documentary about it, and I kind of went in there for a minute and kind of went around. And I got bored really quick, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm out. That's just not my thing."
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So Second Life was a place literally where you could create a second life for yourself. So you create an avatar, you could be whatever you want.
Game.
Yeah, essentially a video game, but it's with real people, And it was kind of like what's becoming what I think the metaverse is going to be in the future, and that kind of digital space where you could, build an apartment, you could decorate it, you could dress up, you could buy and sell stuff.
This reminds me of like the kids playing Webkins when they had the stuffed animals that had a code and they could make a house for it and buy it clothes and food and things. It seems like a game to me, like something to do when you're bored. Like these people, I don't know, maybe need to do some more stuff in real life.
No, I'm not advocating for that world. I'm saying friendships are changing in the way they're being defined. And different people are going to define them in different ways. And it's not, and I think the big thing for me is that I know in my life, I've always kind of wanted a one size fits all solution for everything. And the older I've gotten, I realize that life's not a one size fits all solution.
No. You mean like one friend that's going to be there for?
No. What I was thinking is that like what works for you and where you find your comfort may not work for somebody else. Not because your idea is bad and not because their way is better. It's just people are different and they relate to things differently.
True.
And I was talking with a friend of mine, and he equated it to being, he said, I have a heart of a vegan, but I just don't have the body for it. In other words, he loves the idea of being vegan. He loves the idea of not ever using an animal product again. He loves the idea of only eating, plant-based diet, all this stuff. But every time he tries to do that, he gets sick. And so he has to supplement either heavily with, artificial supplements, or he has to eat some sort of protein source that's coming from meat. And so he's kind of made himself a general pescatarian, but, so he'll allow himself fish, for the most part in his diet, but, and he'll try to stick to as vegetarian as he can, but ultimately his body's craving that sort of meat. And so for him, he can't be that. But I know other people who are totally vegan and they thrive. And I also have seen people who are carnivore on the carnivore diet and they're thriving. And all of them have these like great stories about, I had all these health issues. And as soon as I went on diet X, they went away. And so I just think that people are different and people are going to find different ways to deal with different things for them. And it's good, when, like, for instance, when I was a kid, when I was 18 or 19, I used to get a dozen donuts and a pot of coffee, and I'd go smoke cigarettes and fish all morning long.
Kid, huh?
Well, yeah, it was in the military. So, 18, 19, 20.
Gotcha.
And so, I'd go out and that was my weekends at Fort Campbell. I'd go, get a dozen donuts right out of the oven when they were coming out. I'd get a thermos full of coffee and I'd go park my truck on a lake and I'd go fish all morning and eat all those donuts and drink all that coffee.
By yourself?
By myself.
Huh.
And now
you needed that solitary time.
I guess. But if I tried that today, I'd have heartburn instantly after the second donut. My body changed. I can't eat like I used to be able to eat. There's a lot of
that's God protecting you.
It could be that too, right? But so anyway, like if my 18-year-old self would have been like, yeah, you can totally live on donuts and coffee, man, no big deal.
Well, we could back then.
Yeah, my 50-year-old self has gone, you might want to rethink that, buddy.
Yeah. I think that there's really just different kinds of friends, different kinds of friendships, and I think that there's seasons for everything. Mm-hmm. I think that especially as a kid, you have your friendships that you've made in grade school, elementary, whatever. I have friends that I've made really young and still have contact with. Social media is good for that kind of thing. Maybe you wouldn't see them every day in real life outside, but on social media you can keep up and kind of see what they're up to. But I think there's other friends that kind of walk into your life for a reason. I really do think God has a major role in putting them where they're supposed to be for you at the time that you need them most. As a new parent, if you've never experienced parenthood before, it's gonna rock your world, and you need somebody there that's either been there or is going through it at the same time. You can bounce ideas off of each other. That works. I think just human experience in general, we need somebody who's already been there to give us ideas and advice, and somebody just answer questions when you have them. Mm-hmm. Going through, you and I going through divorce, we've both been through it. It's uncomfortable. You know, if you've never been through that, that's a harrowing experience. How about blended family? We've got a great blended family, but it wasn't always that way. It was really hard to try and make it all work.
And I've heard horror stories where like kids just hate their step parent, whoever it is, and spend their time in their bedrooms and never come out, and they don't. I'm not, she's looking at me because it's one of my complaints with our own kids, but it's different. What they're talking about is like it's from the horse's mouth, right? These kids have told me like I just go home and I stay in my room and I don't talk to anybody in my house, you know, and it's like that would really be challenging. I mean, our kids go on vacation with us and they want to do stuff with us, but
and when they have questions, they come out and talk to us. But I think, you know, teenagers in general do like their own space, and so they do kind of hole up in their rooms for periods of time until they need food and sustenance.
or money for gas.
Money.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking at the kids, you can kind of see the relationships that they form, you know, and their high school friends, you know, you can kind of tell who's going to stick around and who's not because of our own experience.
Sure.
But I don't think that they know that.
No, of course they don't.
They're focused in this moment, what's happening. Everything's real. Everything's major, huge. And this will be forever.
Right.
This is going to last forever. Right. Whatever it is.
Right.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, friendship.
Yeah, but you got to think about it in terms of their life, right? They're 16 years old, 17 years old. I mean, 4 years is a quarter of their life, right?
That's true.
I mean, that's like
put it that way.
That's 25% of their known existence.
It's like dog years.
The other 25% was just learning to walk and not crap on yourself, right? So no, but I mean, think about it. So 50% of their life they were learning to walk and basic motor skills. Then the second part of that quarter of their life was kind of learning about interpersonal relationships, and that's their whole world. They can't see That's why to me the most tragic thing on the world is when a kid in high school thinks they're either worthless or, God forbid, they go suicidal because they have no idea. They have no idea that part of high school, when you compare a lifespan of 80 years, such a small, insignificant portion of it.
Just a blip on the radar.
It is, and it's an insignificant blip on the radar.
I've got 4 yearbooks to prove it.
Right. Well, that's why I remember that song by Bruce Springsteen where the Glory Days or whatever. Yeah. And it's just basically the premise of that all these guys, all these characters in that song, their best years were in high school, and that's where they've peaked, and then the rest of their life was pretty shitty. I was like, God, that would be awful. Like, I'm so glad I don't think in terms of that. Like, I'm glad I did high school. High school's fun and it was its moment. But man, that was not my peak. And that is not my best memories of my life. It was just a thing I did, but it would be a tragedy to live a life. And your best years were that 4-year blip between 14 and 18.
True. That's true. But, like we were talking about with perspective, obviously people have different memories and versions of high school. I had a great high school 4 years, but other people I know are tortured by their 4 years.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You don't want to go to every dance? And you didn't do this? And why don't you do that? And I do understand how parents can get sucked into wanting to live vicariously through their kids, because if I could go back, I would have done so much more knowing everything I know now.
Right.
Because you hold back, you're nervous, or you don't want to come off as being this or that, or, you don't want to seem this way to somebody. So you don't fully put yourself out there, but heck, knowing everything I know now, I'd go back. I'd change things up, but I'd still want to keep the knowledge that I have now.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Well, but because it wouldn't work the other way, that you'd be the same person. If
right.
You didn't have the knowledge you had now, it'd be the exact same experience, right?
That's true.
I equate it when I was playing in a band, I knew it was when you're on stage and you're in front of an audience. And I'm trying to think. You've seen performers, Freddie Mercury, Axl Rose, Bono from U2, these guys.
Charisma.
Well, it's not the charisma. It's there is zero inhibitions when they're on that microphone. They are they are completely transparently absorbed in the music in the moment, and they're letting it all come out. And that's why they can do these incredible vocal runs. They can do it's like they broke through that shell of nervousness and then said, here I am in all my glory. And that's what we are drawn to, because to be able to do that and then to be able to do that and be popular, you're going to have charisma, right? Because then people are like, oh man, that guy's awesome. I remember playing, and when the first time when I could sing a song and totally let it go, oh my gosh, it was like this sort of, it was such a liberating experience. And I remember in the first days of playing in a band, I'd be nervous and I'd be sitting back there and my hand would quiver. And it was my left hand where I'd be playing, where I'd have to fret the guitar. And so I had to do my sets because the first song I was okay. The second song is when that nerve would come in and my hand would quiver. And so I had to
change the song.
I had to make that song super simple that I didn't have to do a lot, because I knew I was going to have a hard time controlling my hand. And then by the third one, I'd kind of worked through that and got it done. And I remember at the end of my being in a band days, that I would get on stage and there was no nerves at all anymore. And in fact, I could go up there and totally fall on my face. I could have my voice crack. I could totally bolo a song. And it was like, there was no like fear that, oh my God, people are looking at me and somebody's judging me and all this stuff, even though they were, right? There was none of that fear, but it was such a liberating place to finally be able to get to.
You're comfortable in your own skin. You're comfortable up there and been there, done that.
Right. And I think that's the thing in high school nobody knows how to do. Or I won't say nobody, because some kids do, but very few kids know how to be themselves and to be unapologetically themselves.
True.
And I don't think that works in 100% of situations, because like on a stage, if I'm playing music, no problem. But if I'm delivering a speech, like I did a speech at a 4.0 dinner once, and I was freaking nervous as all get up on that one, because then it wasn't like I was hiding behind a skill that I was super comfortable, like playing guitar or singing. Then it's like, here's my wisdom, here's my thoughts, I painstakingly wrote these, what I thought would be the best advice I could give to these kids that were super brilliant, and in most cases smarter than I am. And so how do I tell them something? And that was nerve-wracking. And so that one I was a little nervous for. But it's nice to be able to to have the tools and the comfort to kind of get past that sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're 32 minutes into this thing.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It goes by quick, doesn't it?
We did.
Yeah.
We did it.
You did it. Any parting wisdom on friendship you wanna leave out there before we sign off?
I guess that you're never going to regret trying. You cannot regret a smile, really. Right. I mean, unless the person that ends up receiving your smile turns psycho and like kills you right there because you smiled at him. But really, how often does that happen? Never. Yeah. No. So just smile. It's not an invitation necessarily. You could keep walking. Mm-hmm. It's not a commitment, as I tell my daughters. You're just smiling at somebody. It's okay to smile. Grandmas love it. Yeah. You might even meet somebody. Hey.
No. No.
What?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will catch you next week. Yeah, take care. We miss you. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye. The Weekly Bark.